Hey there everybody, Matt Carter here.
And Jessica Carter.
This video is our Big Brother Canada 8 episode 5 reaction. This is really like the first actual eviction of the season because of NICO'S self-eviction. This is the first time everyone's actually gotten to vote. They have had the trial by fire. Michael is gone. There are no surprises in any of this.
No, I mean, we saw people try to scramble, but really all it seemed to do was confirm to Chris and other people in the house that these four were actually working together.
Yeah, nothing really got that accomplished throughout a lot of the efforts that we saw on the show. There were some entertaining moments. There were some surprising things as well. But we've also learned now from the live feeds who the new HoH is. So we'll talk about that a little bit later on in the video and what the likely nominees are going to be. At least for right now. But before we dive into anything more, if you do like this video, give us a like, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any other updates. I think this is obviously a weird eviction show because of the fact that, because of what's happening in the real world. No audience there. I mean, they try to keep it moving, but it doesn't seem like the house guests know everything about what's happening on the outside world yet, but ultimately, Big Brother, it is going on. It seems like a relatively safe place for them to be.
Yeah, I mean, I feel with everything going on, it probably is the safest place to be.
Yeah, I think just as long as they find a way to keep them from having to interact too much with too many people from the outside, and I can't foresee them bringing in a lot of people for various stuff this season.
No.
I think they will be all right. I think the show will go on for at least everyone other than Michael. And Michael seems like a nice enough guy. Like, I didn't get any bad vibes from watching him on the feeds or seeing him on the show. I mean, good for him for serving Canada and for being in the military. I respect him so much for that. But he was not, in the end, a particularly great Big Brother player.
No, he wasn't. And I mean, people would have, and he was part of a pretty big alliance for this early in the game, and they weren't being that quiet about it in a lot of ways. I know they were all trying to be like, hey, we're all just friends hanging out. Well, no, you're not. You guys are all in Big Brother, and if you're friends hanging out, then you are part of an alliance. Whether you've got a name for them, which they do, or they don't. If you're friends, you're still going to have each other's backs, so it just doesn't matter.
It's one of these things where I did not enjoy watching most of the Pretty Boys last season, but I have a lot of respect for what the Pretty Boys were able to do. And that is meet up here or there, but also disperse often and make it seem like they're not working together all the time. And I think because of what the Pretty Boys did, I think now people take it for granted how difficult it is to actually have a 4-person alliance that people don't catch up on. And I think they thought, hey, let's just hang out. It'll be fine. Nobody will think we're together.
Well, that's why I think it was, even though Chris seemed to make a lot of enemies doing this, the way that he did this, it makes sense that if you see a bigger group of people hanging around, you need to start getting rid of them while there are still numbers in the house. And getting rid of Michael or any of the 4 was the right thing to do, especially after when he was put on the block and every single person from the alliance started coming to him and talking to him. I was just like, they're all confirming it for him.
And the other thing is, yeah, you could have let Michael play in the veto. But if you let Michael play in that veto, we saw that veto. Michael probably would have won that veto.
Yeah, no, and the whole thing was just getting really weird with everyone's have integrity and you're a liar. You're in the Big Brother house. Like, yes, everybody's a liar. Nobody has integrity in here. This is not the game for that. There are other games for that. So when I saw afterwards, Brooke was trying to tell Michael, listen, like, yeah, I knew what was going on, but what do you want me to do? Like, I'm on the block. I didn't have that much influence of what's going on. I am also on the block. And him being like, well, you didn't need to be so selfish about it. I was just like, what? She's on the block. Like, yes, she does. If anytime you need to be selfish for your life in the game, it's when you're on the block. So why would she go and tell you anything? It was so strange. And I get that he was upset and he probably wasn't thinking, but she's not going to sacrifice her game for a stranger.
I think he's probably was just really frustrated that Chris was the one who made the move, and he said everybody was in on the plan and nobody wanted to own it, and so it was just sort of this thing where nobody was really telling him what he wanted to hear, and he kept getting more and more frustrated by it. And this is the thing I really, I have a lot of respect for Michael as a person, but the thing I never love in Big Brother is when you say, this person and this person and this person, they don't deserve this. And he did that in the speech, calling out Vanessa, Kyle, and Chris. And it's just sort of like, who made you the arbiter on what someone deserves? I mean, in life, people don't always get what they deserve. And Big Brother, it's the same exact way. You can't look at this game with that sort of moral code. It's just not going to get you anywhere. I mean, if you were asking me at this point, would I rather be around Michael for a few hours or be around Kyle for a few hours? I would probably choose Michael because I think there's less of a chance he's going to rip my head off at any given moment.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the edit with Kyle, but he feels like he's quite a hothead, that anything is just going to kind of blow up at any second. And then let's talk about him and Sheldon and Brooke talking about their alliance in the common room, in the kitchen. That was one of the boldest things I'd ever seen. And by bold, I mean, what the heck? It was so strange and crazy, and just, I don't understand what they were doing with that. You're in an alliance. Why would you ever do this where you're talking about it in a room that people can hear you? This is, as Kyle said, this is Big Brother 8. So there has been enough seasons of this show that you should know not to talk about your alliance with your members in a room like the kitchen.
The thing I actually kind of like about this season is there's some people I think who are pretty good, but there's not a lot of players who I'm looking at and being like, oh, you're going to smoke the competition. There's no Derek in this season. There's no Vanessa Rousseau. There's no one who I think is like dominating everything. And by that, I mean, there's a lot of people who don't have their you-know-what figured out. And I think that's probably good for a lot of us. Yeah. I mean, you've got Vanessa throwing her own allies under the bus. You've got Midley throwing Jamar under the bus here or there. You have all of this chaos. And you
also have Chris, who threw the entire house under the bus. So not only did he screw over this alliance who's mad at him, but then he just threw everybody in the house under the bus. It was like, oh, well, everyone was in on it. Well, now everybody's mad at you.
And the funniest thing is that somehow, despite all of this, I think Kyle has a much bigger target on him now than Chris. Like, I think Chris isn't exactly in a great shape depending on who's ending up in power, but I don't think Chris is completely dead man walking right now either.
No, I think that Min Lee did a really smart thing by trying to get Michael to go and pick a fight with Kyle. Like, the more that Kyle explodes and gets really confrontational with people, the more people are gonna not want to be around him and not trust him and be worried about him and isolate him a little bit and then get him out. Like, it was very smart. And if Michael was gonna go anyways, then why not send him to go down and cause a problem where Kyle makes a bigger target on himself by acting that way? And I think that it worked.
Min Lee just has these moments where I think, oh, that's brilliant. And then she follows it up with something that makes me just want to be like, what are you doing? But that was so great because not only did she get Kyle to put a bigger target on himself,
yep,
she also got Michael to put a bigger target on himself.
Yeah.
And she also made it so that those people, the evictors, were even more isolated. And, I do love the goodbye messages where Kyle is just sort of like, yeah, I am running the house. And then Min Lee's like, I'm running the house. Only one of you can be running the house, and I'm not actually sure that the answer is either one of you for the question of who. Suzanne's actually probably running the house more than either one of you, though.
Yeah, she is.
Even still, I mean, I guess it's Chris who really shut down the let's make Min Lee a replacement nominee talk and all that. But still, it is a situation where, yeah, we have a lot of people who are playing, but none of nobody is like head and shoulders above everyone else.
It's true. The only person who I really think is kind of in a good spot is Jamar. And I said that last time as well. And it's just he's He's on nobody's radar when he's clearly trying to have a showmance out in the open, doesn't care, and he's still not really someone that people are bringing up. He's always in the room at the right time with people, and people don't stop talking game when he's around. He hasn't been put in a position that he has to use any of the information that he has. He hasn't built any really big alliances at this point, but still no one's talking about him, and he does have a lot of information should he want to use it.
I just don't think people take him seriously. And I think that could be a problem for him down the road, but I think for now it's kind of a good thing. They kind of just view him as, oh, here's Jamar. He's going to, come in and be like, you feel me all the time. Yeah. And he's going to, have his crazy showmance. And, he's a big character. But he is dangerous. And he's dangerous the longer he goes. And
yeah, he is. Because everybody really likes him on top of it. So you've got someone who's got a lot of information, right place, right time, not on anybody's radar. People aren't taking him that seriously. Yeah. So he can get himself further into the game and then all of a sudden turn on whatever he needs to turn on. Pull in an alliance of some sort, start winning some comps, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, we were all sleeping on Jamar all this time. We made a mistake.
The only thing he needs to do is be more careful about his showman's partner, because that is the person who could be his undoing, is Vitaly, who apparently has no problem also be talking smack about Jamar when he's not around.
And I get that, but also she's a bigger target than him, so
true.
That also is a good move for Jamar. I just think he is in a really good spot right now where he's not completely invisible, but he's able to gather information, not piss anybody off. No one's taking him seriously, so he's able to get further. He's in a good spot.
Carol, I hope you're happy to be in the final two, because that's where you're going to be at the end of all of this.
Well, that's the other... Well, Carol doesn't need to do anything right now either. There are so many other people that are causing problems and causing fights and two big alliances going after each other. I mean, she can step up in week 3 or week 4, and I think she could still be okay.
This just feels like one of those seasons where you're going to have the Evictors, and then you're going to have the Kyle group and Chris and all that.
It's not the Kyle group, it's the Sheldon group.
Well, whatever, it's that group, but that group is going to...
Kyle can't be the leader of that group.
Kyle's the figurehead, and Sheldon's okay with them being the figurehead, because Sheldon's fine with Kyle going first. And then he can just move forward from there.
Kyle's my guy. I can't. Or not Kyle.
I was about to say.
Sheldon's my guy. Kyle can't be the leader of the group.
Yeah, Kyle
I got stuck on Kyle there for a second.
Well, it happens. Kyle has ingrained himself in all of our brains, and not always the good way.
We're 12 minutes in. No one's watching.
Okay, all right. I'll say that. All right, let's just get to talking about who the new HoH is. Obviously, live feed spoilers ahead. It is your guy, Sheldon, who is in power. And I don't actually think Sheldon needed to win this HoH. I think he would have been just fine.
I'm actually glad that he did. I think it puts him in a good spot because it's still really early. So he can gather some information. He does have a good alliance around him at this point. Well, good is questionable, I guess, with Kyle because you just never know really where he's going to land. But I think it's a good spot for him to be in because people really like him. He's a smart guy, and this is a good opportunity to gather early intel on where everybody's kind of standing.
I think it could end up being a very boring week, if I'm being honest, because my heart and my head want two different things. My head is if I was Sheldon, just put Rhiannon and Madeline on the block. Just do it. Get rid of another Evictor from the game. You cut down those numbers. You don't make any other enemies. I would get rid of Rhiannon just because I feel like she's a little bit more dangerous. She's blending in a little bit more. But either way, I think you're fine. My heart would love to see Kyle go up on the block and say something crazy like that. But there's not a reason for Sheldon to do that right now.
This early in the game, there is no reason for Sheldon to cut his own people.
No, and I mean, I think Sheldon is more than fine to cut Kyle. I just don't think Sheldon needs to do it
this early.
No,
it's too early.
He doesn't need to do that now. He doesn't need to take out Minley now. He doesn't need to go after Chris. I just think it's an easy move for him to go ahead and just get rid of one of the other people. And if he does that, He proves himself as a trustworthy guy to his
Yep.
allies, and then Sheldon can have an HOH win. But can we just say this? This HOH challenge is complete garbage, mostly because, and I'm not saying I'm rooting for the evictors, but I just feel like if you are, John Luke's, family member and you're watching, you're probably wanting to throw something at your TV because John Luke had zero chance of ever winning this competition.
No, of course. I mean, obviously people are going to go after the evictors, and that's their own fault. They didn't keep this alliance any kind of secret.
Yeah.
And then once it was out there that they didn't realize that everybody knew about it, they made it even more apparent by going up to Chris's room one after the other. Like, this is, I don't feel bad for them.
I feel kind of bad for them. But
I don't. They don't have anyone to blame but themselves. There was better ways to go about doing this. They made it way too obvious that they were an alliance, and then they completely exposed themselves when Michael got put up on the block.
Well, here, I think what production probably wanted was, if nothing else, because they designed this far in advance, production doesn't hate the evictors,
No.
some craziness where they're trying to get rid of them, but I think they wanted people to really have sort of their true allegiances exposed. Maybe we'll have some of that from the end of this challenge. I know there's probably some fallout that's going to happen throughout the night, so in the morning, we will go back and discuss some of that in the live feed video, but... For now, let us know what you thought about Michael's eviction, tonight's episode, Sheldon winning HOH. You can do all of that in the comments. And as of right now, I'm hoping that we'll be able to speak to Michael tomorrow, and we'll have an interview with him up on CARTERMATT, the website. If you did enjoy this discussion, give us a like, subscribe, and you can support us further by checking the link in the description to the store. And we'll see you here next time.